Yeah, so it's kind of hard to follow those two presentations because I think that that was a very well coverage of grant cycle, but I'll kind of run through it from my perspective as a farmer. And then I also have a couple other I might spend more time on about bringing additional to the farm. So yeah, with that, I'm Rylan with Forestdale Farm. We're located in Flagstaff, Arizona, and we're a small family run. Next slide. So yeah, so what I'm going to talk about is the grants, which was pretty well covered managing. I'll also dive into diversifying the farm, different ways of sales and production for small farmers, and how to gain their farming operation. Next slide. So a little bit first just about our farm. Our community with produce that's organically, ecologically, and sustainably grown. We value water conservation, biodiversity, and healthy soil. We grow mostly vegetables. We focus a lot on leafy green production, but we also do poultry. We have pharmacy items, which I'll talk about. We do garden starts, compost, things related to our operation. And we sell at we have a farm stand. We do CSA farm shares, and we sell as well as to local stores and different restaurants. Next. So yeah, a lot of this, again, I'll breeze through this. I'll kind of just try to touch on some points that weren't covered. But the key when I'm looking for a grant is I'm sort of looking at what are at that point and what the farm needs or what was difficult the season before. And there's kind of grants that I've sort of dived into. Infrastructure grants, and then more community need grants, and then research grants. So the picture on the bottom right, Andrea had talked about that's a picture of a high tunnel grant that we got through the NRCS, which was great because growing in Flagstaff, right now I'm looking out the window and there's snow, and it's just, yeah, totally. So that grant production early in the season as well as late in the season. It's really expanded our operation and allowed us to grow in these difficult times with weather patterns. Other thing is community need. So we've got a grant from Flagstaff Food Link, which was also mentioned, with low income access to food. So we started where we had discounted CSA shares and we would offer to the community to kind of help gain that access across that barrier. And then grants, those are more kind of intensive grants. They take a lot more accounting and work, but they're real great for the picture on the above right is a research grant that we got, the SARE grant, the Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education, and that preservation with aquaponics and aquaculture. So we looked at different yields with adding these fish into the system for green production as well as seedling starts. And so yeah, next slide. All right, so this part, skip most of this. I think this was covered, but I agree with Darren. When I wrote it on the slide, I thought it was a little weird to just be like research. That's the best way to sort of dive into the grants. And there's always new grants popping up, so you want to really sort of browse what you're looking for. There's an opportunity out there, and you can kind of narrow it down. Again, the local agencies. I think is to make sure like your grant that you're applying is a good fit for what you want to do. You don't want to just be trying to fit an idea to a whole bunch of different grants and applying to a whole bunch. You want to kind of find the grant that fits your, really focus on that. And like the two presenters before me said, writing grants, take the time, be very thorough. Even they ask for, make sure you provide. Panel this year for the Western research grants, and just have proposal was kind of key in a lot of the determining factors. If it's not clear and you're not providing the budget and everything they ask for, it kind of will get your grant pushed aside. And yeah, again, managing grants. Andrea said this, which is a perfect way to say it. It's not free money. It is a lot of work. So, if you get the time to do it, the growing season, you're already really strapped for time. So do you have the time to actually complete that project and the skills and the expertise? So, think about it, execute the grant and complete it in a timely manner, because it does get a little hectic, and everything always is more work than you initially imagined. Next slide. All right, so yeah, I'll just touch on some things outside of grants to bring money to the farm. A lot of it is, you don't just focus on one type of production. You can look at vegetable, eggs, meat. There's different types of sales, different types. So the more you can diversify your farm, the more you can, so you can stay farming and stay in business. And then what we've done on a lot of our farm is looked at what we need for our production, and then that need into additional income. So the next slides will kind of offer some examples that we've done. So next slide. So one example need would be soil fertility. All farms have this issue. Basically, you want to make the crop out of the soil and you're selling it. You want to be able to add nutrients back into the soil, keep the microbes, everything happy. So one that is, where you need to add compost back to the operation. So to keep it a closed loop, we have a lot of poultry that we do on the farm. This allows excess waste on the farm, produce that we're not able to sell, or after harvesting, whatever's left over, we can have the chickens forage through, and that in return comp to the farm. And again, all of that adds another source of income, because you can sell eggs, you can sell meat, you could sell, which we've done. We've had turkeys hatch out eggs, and we're able to the eggs and the birds as they hatch out. So all of that's kind of important to look at it. Do to your farm every year. Eliminate that or reduce the costs. It'll really help your production as well. Next slide. Example is seedling production on our farm. We do a lot of transplanting, a lot of seedlings, and we sort of over the years just started selling. It's actually a big part of our spring business. So we have a garden start CSA that we run, where we offer seedling shares in the spring for home gardeners. If anyone's interested in that too, there's more information on our website about it. We do markets with seedlings, we do events, we do farm sales. One thing we were doing on the farm already that we expanded into kind of another sales opportunity, and it's been really good, especially at the beginning of the season, to kind of push seedling sales. Next slide. And then demand too. It's also good to look at, especially in your current business. So if you're doing farmers markets, or you're selling wherever you're selling, you have a storefront and you're selling there. If you notice a demand that you can fill in that market, for example, we have a pharmacy kind of line that we do, where we produce all these products on the farm, but we do homemade deodorants, and we're able to sell those at the community markets where we're already selling produce. So it kind of just opens another avenue. We're already there selling produce, but we're able to produce on the farm as well. So it's always good to look at demand, and if there's anything you see at any of your areas where you're your production and your farm's profitability as well. Next slide. And then it's good to look at the biggest expenses on your farm, which can be for seedling mix in the beginning of the season. in bulk the ingredients that we use for our seedling mix and on the farm. We're able to sell that seedling mix to other home gardeners and people for the cost of purchasing that. And another example, chicken feed. So organic chicken feed is just insanely expensive. So kind of a co-op situation where we purchase a lot of the chicken feed at once in bulk, and we have other people in the community order, and it reduces the shipping cost on it, so we can all get it for cheaper, and it makes it a little more easy for the whole community to use organic eggs or different animal production. Next slide. So the biggest, the other way to bring income to your farm, the grants are great. All the stuff we talked about are great, but to sort of look at what obstacles you have on your farm and how you can use that knowledge. Can you market that knowledge? So an example, conservation, we're not tied to city. We don't have a consistent water source, so we do a lot of rainwater catchment, drip irrigation, mulching. We're real cautious of our water usage, and everything that we've kind of learned from that, we're able to turn into workshops. We can do tours. We can, help spread that information, and that also creates another way to get people to the farm and as well. Next slide. All right, and that, again, I didn't go too much into the grants. I think that was well covered, but it's definitely worth pursuing the grants, especially if you, there's a lot of infrastructure grants, and there's a lot of grants for research and just community development and different things like that. So I think, just looking at your whole, what's best suited for it, and really, putting the time into it is going to guarantee your success in those grants. And with that, if anyone, our website's up there, my email's up there. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and our CSAs are open. So if you're interested and you're in the Flagstaff community,